Hello everyone and welcome back to That Sales Show. I'm Donna Valente, Coach V if you will, and today our topic is going to be on the formula of success. And I have with me a wicked smart, brilliant CEO of Slice, and she's going to review with us a couple major things to consider around engaging your clients with value. How do you message to them with value? How do you identify your ICP to make sure that you're messaging to the right people? How do you know how to get to know your clients so that you know the right messaging? And I think the last thing is managing the sales cycle. Oh, and we also have how to engage influencers in the sales process. So I'd like to introduce you to Cass Bailey so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Donna.
How are you today?
I'm great.
You're great. We just met her baby out in the lobby and we lost a lot of time chatting. That's why we're a little bit late. So Cass, why don't you tell us what Slice Communication does?
So Slice really focuses on helping companies have two-way conversations that lead to growth. We focus primarily on public relations, so having conversations with editors to get you covered. We do a lot of social media, and so that means LinkedIn. It also means Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, etc. And because good social media is a back and forth. And finally, we do email marketing. And email marketing is really about creating something where you're putting something in somebody's inboxes and they're replying to you.
Right, that's awesome. I tried to get a kind of like a snapshot and be able to say that, but I'm glad that you said it for me because I would have failed miserably there. So, all right, so let's get started. We only have 30 minutes, so it flies by pretty quickly. So let's get started with the question of defining the ideal customer. And how do you go about doing that to make sure that you're doing it properly?
I think the key word there that you mentioned, Donna, is ideal. And a lot of times when we start working with CEOs and with marketing VPs and sales VPs, they talk about the customer that they have today. And that's the mistake, because the customer you have today isn't always the customer that you want to have. It's not the customer that's going to give you the highest profitability. It's not the customer that's going to refer you other customers. It's not necessarily the customer that's going to help you grow the way that you want to. And so we need to get out of this mindset of what we have and start thinking about like what we want.
So that kind of defies you want referenceable accounts. Right?
It does a little bit. And the accounts that you have today hopefully will be the ones that help you get the accounts that you want in the future. But if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get the same result. And a lot of companies and CEOs that we work with come to us or they need help because they don't want the same thing over and over again.
So they need need organic growth.
They do. They need organic growth, but they also a lot of times need to think about new markets, new industries, new types of customers, and they don't know how to start to reach those people.
Why don't you tell us how they start to reach us?
Well, sure. So I think what's really important with people today is, and we wrote a white paper on this topic, the buyers from corporations are getting younger and younger.
Ah, yes.
Right? Generation X is a very small generation. What that means is that the so-called millennials, which basically is code word for anyone under 40 today, they're accelerating into management and decision-making positions very quickly.
Yeah, they say 3 to 5 years they're going to be in the buying
3 to 5
authority.
years, right? They're going to make the decision. And some of them, a lot of them are already making those decisions. The way that you market to and sell to those people is a little different. The research that we have shows that they tend to do 12 steps of online research before they ever take your call, before they ever return your call, before they ever answer your inquiry around sales. So think about those 12 steps. What does that look like? How does your company show up when they're looking for you over and over and over again before they ever agree to talk with you?
Yeah. So how do you go about defining ideal?
So I think the first thing that you need to think about is not just their demographics, right? You might know what the job title is. You might think that you know. You might think that you know the size of the company. You might think that you know the industries that they're in, and that's great and that's important. But we know that everybody we're selling to, they're all humans, right? So we need to start thinking about...
Today they are.
Today they are, right? They might be robots in the future. It's entirely possible. And when it comes time to sell to robots, we'll have a different conversation. Okay. Maybe my daughter will be on then and she can talk to you about selling to robots. Exactly. But today we're selling to people, right? And so if we think about people, they all come with psychographics. They all have desires, they all have wants, they all have fears, they all have concerns. Yeah. The way that they get news and information and the way that they process it and think about it is different. Mm-hmm. And so when we're thinking about our ideal client type, or ICT as you say, we need to not just think about their demographics, but like their psychographics. Who are they? What do they care about? What drives them?
Mm-hmm. And how do we find that? Well, besides hiring you guys.
Well, right. There's a lot of ways to do this, right? The first thing we might want to do is spend a little time talking with them. Find out and ask them these questions like, so where do you get news and information? What is it about what we had to say that was compelling to you? Mm-hmm. And more importantly, the people who decided not to buy from you, that's also a conversation that you want to have. Yeah. A lot of times I feel like we as salespeople go to them and say, well, who did you choose instead? Mm-hmm. And that's fine, but that doesn't give us that much information. What tells us more is like what went into their decision-making process and who they are as people. Yeah. The other thing that I will say is that there's so much information about humans on the internet right now, but a lot of times we don't spend the time or the money or the effort to look at it, right? To research it, to understand it. We were working with a client.
And people don't know how to consume it.
No, they don't know. They don't know what to look for, right? So, and we all live in this world where our LinkedIn shows some of our personal and some of our professional. Our Twitter shows some of our personal and some of our professional. So for me, for instance, if you were to check out my Twitter, you would see that I really care about certain causes. I really care about literacy. It's very important to me. Oh, wow. Well, if you were selling to me, you might want to connect with me on that level, and then that creates a trust. That we wouldn't have otherwise if you just knew that I was the CEO of a business in Old City. Right.
Exactly. So I get that. All right. So from here we go to how do we engage the influencers in the process?
Okay. So this is a great question
that we're going to have to come back for.
Right after the break?
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you, folks. We'll be back in a minute. Thank you so much.
Celebration. Welcome to Rod's Steak and Seafood Grill in nearby Morristown, New Jersey. Bring your appetite and feed your passion.
Love my style, I'm dancing tonight. My smile from pearly white side. Love my style, love my style. Pearly white, love your smile. From teens to grown-ups faces, they can change your life. All ages and no faces, just smile from pearly white. Love yourself, love your style. Pearly white, love your smile.
For independent living for seniors age 62 and over, People Inc. offers safe, maintenance-free apartments across Western New York. The affordable rent is income-based. For more information, call People Inc. Senior Living at 817-9090.
In a world where bankers have lost all interest, where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes, one woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union, already in a neighborhood near you.
Assurance. It's a word, a touch, a look.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Donna Valente on That Sales Show, and sorry for that abrupt ending there. We're coming back, and we're talking about how do we engage influencers.
So let me first start with the word influencers, because it is a very trendy word in social media. But what we mean is centers of influence, which I think is a more traditional sales word.
Why can't we just keep it the same?
Right? We should.
Why do we have to
Centers
change
of
it?
influence. Let's talk about those people. So many people we talk to, when I ask them, like, how do you get business? They tell me, oh, it's all word of mouth. It's all referrals. What that means is that somebody is referring you work. Who are those somebodies? Right? Those people are so powerful, more powerful today than they have ever been, I think, in the history of sales and marketing. And the reason why is because everybody's getting bombarded with so much information that they don't know what's good and what's not. So they look to people, right? To humans. We're back to that. To tell them what's good and what's not good. So think about, like, if you were to be working with somebody and you were asking them, like, oh, I need to hire a new PR and social media company, right? You'd ask them, like, oh, who do you think is good? Well, chances are they know a bunch of us because there are a lot of us out there, right? But if I had contacted them recently, and if they heard from me in an email, or I'm having a webinar, or I have something going on, chances are I would be the one that would be referred to you. So engaging influencers is all about staying top of mind, giving them actual tools to refer you business. Now that's marketing, right? So we need to make sure that they have a steady flow of events, of content, of insights, of research, of surveys, of curated news and information, so that it's valuable to them in making a great referral. And that's all about marketing and communications.
And how do you know what's going to resonate for that person who's in your circle of influence?
So a couple of things. One, you could ask them, but chances are that they don't even know what's going to resonate for them, which is why you have to have a plan that has diversity in it. It might be an event. They might like to go out for cocktails because that's how they network best, but it might be an ebook, or it might be participating in a survey, right? You need to have diversity so that you give everybody who's an influencer with you the opportunity to help you sell. The other thing that's interesting is that not everybody consumes information the same way. So some people, like, every time they log in their LinkedIn to see something about you or something that you've got coming up, some people prefer to consume it in email. So we need to have diversity of content and diversity of delivery and delivery channels in order to keep all of our influencers engaged so that we stay top of mind with them.
That's a wicked good example. I mean, I really think that, but there's a lot of companies that don't have the content, they don't have the plan in place, they don't know what to do, and they might not have the money to do it. There's low cost ways of achieving that?
There are some low cost ways. The first thing that I would say is that you can't depend, or you can't require the salespeople to do it for themselves, right? Salespeople are out there making the calls, getting the opportunities, staying connected, and that's really important. But they need a support system. They're going to be more effective if they have a support system. So tools that enable and encourage email automation, some of them are very inexpensive. That's a great way to stay connected with influencers, is to set up an automation that says every 3 weeks, my influencers get something from me. And if you sit down and plan it out, you'll be in a much better position to, like, put something out there that's credible and real and useful. So email automation tools can be helpful as long as you don't make yourself look like a robot. That's the big mistake. Just blasting the same thing out to the same people, even though it's not going to be relevant to them. Then you lose trust. So these tools are valuable, but they're also potentially dangerous. It all comes back to being really thoughtful about how you use them.
And what's coming to mind for me, and I in my work, I see a lot of sales reps not working with a territory plan. And so at BDU, one of our big things is, and that was Business Development University, is that we have in the territory planning, you have to hit your circle of influences. And I don't think that leadership adds that in as a metric. Now we have that in a IDAQUAD, allows you to do that. Because you can build your lists and say, okay, this is my list of influencers. And I do think it's important. I think we talk about networking in a very isolated, hey, did you get out this week? But it really should be, are you touching these people? Not only we're giving you the support here with the automation, but you need to go out and touch these people and make it a part of your 30, 60, 90-day plan.
So Donna, let me ask you, how often do you review your territory plan?
Me? I mean, I live by the 30, 90, 60. I
Right, so
have
every
to.
90 days,
Yeah.
you review your territory plan.
But not when I have my lists. They have to be, if they're a part of my top, so
Yeah.
I have 3 buckets.
Right.
And in Idaquad, it allows me to have 3 tabs.
Yeah.
So I can have,
So you review it all the time.
even as a sales rep, when I was working with other CRMs,
Yeah.
I had my top 15. And I knew who I wanted to touch that I can lean in. Like I sold educational technology.
Yeah.
I knew who my strategic accounts were.
Right.
I knew, listen, it was on a piece of paper. I know who I have to call, but that's because I'm a human interactor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always going to be the human touch. I love technology because it's saved me for productivity, but I believe that social media has given us a false sense of connection.
So many people use it so poorly. They think
Yeah.
that social media is LinkedIn, that it is
Yeah.
Facebook. But
Yeah.
the first word in social media is social, which means that it's about people. I keep going back to this, right? What's going to be compelling for one group of people isn't going to be compelling for somebody else. So
Yeah.
we need to understand those humans.
Yes.
And then talk with them, not at them.
Yeah. And I think we should build it into, the planning, because if you're just measuring on activities and conversations, you're not getting the full picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. that was great feedback. I just love you.
Thank you.
So
Love
the
you
next
too.
thing I
Yeah.
think that's complicated
Yes.
is managing that sales cycle and how some of these other things come into play when you are managing the sales cycle. So what are the best practices that you employ
Yeah.
for managing the sales cycle?
So we think about the sales cycle like most people think about the sales cycle. However, there are some things that if we're listening well, we can use to trigger and to accelerate the sales cycle. So for instance, when we are talking with a company, we want to do a lot of listening. So we might set up Google alerts and we might be tracking their social media to see if they've got something important coming up.
I love that.
Right, so it's so easy and it's cheap and it's free, right? So
Yeah.
for instance, if a company starts talking about this big conference they have coming up in a month or two, that might be a great opportunity to say, hey, I heard that you're doing this. Can we chat a little bit more? Because now might be a great time for my CRM to be put in place right before the conference.
So you're becoming a thought partner at that point.
Right. You're trying to help them solve the problem
Yeah.
that they don't even know they have
That's right.
yet.
That's
And
right.
that's all about listening.
Yeah.
The other thing that we found really accelerates the sales cycle is listening for their competition. What are the competitors doing that might make them jealous enough to want to try to catch up or step ahead of their competitors?
Yes.
Right?
That's urgency, man.
And that's urgency,
Yeah.
and that's all about listening.
Yeah.
Listening to their competitors' social channels, listening to what their competitors are putting out, and that sort of jealousy sometimes can be the most compelling message that you ever deliver to somebody, as long as their psychographics show us that they are a competitive person.
Yeah.
And that they have an interest in competition.
Yeah.
Right? And how do we know that? Well, we can look at a lot of things, both in terms of their professional, what they put out professionally, and what they put out personally.
This is not a plug for anyone in particular, but Crystal Knows is one of those demographic things where you could type in somebody's name and their title,
Yeah.
and it pulls up kind of like a mini disc.
Yeah.
And like, how does this person like to communicate? Because they're following the social footprint for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Right, Reportive does some of that too.
Oh, is that right?
There are some really fantastic tools
Yeah.
that will help us learn about people. And so we need to know all this as we put together the marketing strategy.
Right.
But this is marketing's job, right? Marketing supports sales in this way.
Yeah.
It can't always be sales' job. That's
Yeah.
a really heavy bucket to carry.
It is.
Especially
It
when
is.
you're writing proposals.
Thank
and
you. Did
doing
you hear that,
quotes.
everybody?
It's really hard for sales to do. That's where
we don't want to
marketing-
carry it.
That's why marketing needs to help, right?
Yeah,
And that's where the two work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Let marketing do some of the listening. Let marketing do some of the content. Let marketing help you figure out who these people are on a regular basis. And let marketing do some of the influencer work as well. And then we'll be in a much better position in terms
Yeah.
of a sales team. So if we circle back around, right, 12 steps of online research before anybody takes your call or is willing to even talk to you,
Yeah.
those 12 steps have to be strong. There needs to be compelling content in every bit of that.
Yeah.
Something that speaks to those people.
Yeah. Not everyone is an effective influencer internally and with their customers, but so I'm going to throw something out here weird
Yeah.
because I think you can deal with it. How can we better align sales and marketing so that they understand what you just said?
Well, the first thing is that a lot of salespeople, unfortunately, don't really understand marketing.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing,
Yeah.
right? Think about it this way. So when we communicate with clients about marketing, we think of PR as your air cover, right? This is creating a lot of awareness with a lot of people very efficiently. So when you're in the newspaper or on TV or on the radio. We think of social media as the ground troops, right? Like making small steps and moving everything forward in terms of getting to that target, right? Yeah. And then we think of email as like very specific like outposts, right? Like going out, setting something up and communicating with people on a regular basis. Well, that all has to be done in order for sales, in order to like get as quickly as they can. And we think of sales, think of them as like the jets, like the high powered jets, right? Like the ones that are going to get in there and get the job done, but only because they have air cover, they have ground troops, and they have outposts along the way that are going to help them, right? But a lot of times I think some salespeople just say, oh, well, I'm the jet. I don't need ground troops. I don't need air cover. I don't need outposts. Like I'm a rock star salesperson.
I'm my own marketeer.
Right? I'm an awesome salespeople. I'm an awesome salesperson. I don't need that. Well, think about if we were all working together, how much more effective we would be.
Well, and the sales leaders need to listen different too, so that communication is coordinated and mutual respect.
Yes.
It always seems like there's tension. Yeah.
12 steps, right? 12 steps of online research. Yeah. Well, if we're doing our job as marketing, each one of those 12 steps are going to be awesome. So when they do take your call, they're going to be ready, more likely to take that call, more likely to buy, more likely to refer somebody else to you.
Yep. That's awesome.
Right, but they have to work together,
Yeah.
especially as the people that we're selling to, they're getting younger and younger and younger and younger.
That means we're getting older and older.
I know.
Stop talking right now.
I get it, but that's the truth.
Please. We might have covered this, but I want to make sure. What's the biggest mistakes that you see people doing, even that are kind of already established?
So we work with a lot of B2B middle market companies, right? A lot of them have been around for a long time. Some of them are multi-generational. They're really smart people. They have successful businesses. But when we sit down and ask them to like really talk about their audiences, they don't know them. They really don't. And then when we ask them to prioritize them, they have the hardest time prioritizing.
Wow.
And so what
Why?
happens?
They're trying to think everything is equal?
Everybody's important. I need to sell to everybody, right? Everybody matters. Everybody's important. I don't want them to think they're not important. Yeah. And that's fine, right? But, I mean, do you have unlimited time and money?
Sure.
Of course, right? We all do. We can all go after a lot of audiences. No, nobody has unlimited time and money, right? So if we're trying to go after all of these audiences with our marketing dollars all at the same time, we're going to fail. Because we're not going to create something that's like as targeted or as specific or as meaningful to the people who are going to grow our businesses the fastest. Yeah. We're trying to communicate to everybody. And when we communicate with everybody, we really communicate with nobody.
How do you slow them down?
So
how do you help them prioritize?
Well, we do persona exercises, which really help. We give their customers names, we give them pictures, we try to talk through them, and then we make them make choices. Yeah. Michael Porter, who is a strategy guru, says strategy is about making choices. If you make no choices, you have no strategy. So we really work with our clients to get them to make choices. Once they've identified their top two, we let them have two. We give them names, we give pictures, and we constantly referring to who those people are. And then every year we throw it out and start again.
It's like you're doing Shark Tank with them.
A little bit.
You're really pushing back on them.
Yeah, because you have to make choices. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no strategy.
Well, when you're deep in it, this is why you come out and hire Slice.
Because, or any consultant,
because you're doing what you're doing best, and now you have to get a fresh perspective.
Yeah, and companies that don't make choices are the ones that don't make it. sometimes. Or they just get stuck, right?
Yeah.
They hit that ceiling, they get stuck, they can't move forward because they refuse to say, this is the most important.
Yeah.
A lot of times that happens out of fear. A lot of times it happens because the leadership team is not aligned.
Yeah, that's-
so they can't make choices.
Yeah.
And these are all things that are critical to the function of a business.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right? So if the business isn't functioning correctly, the marketing's not going to function
Yeah.
well, and the sales probably aren't going to function all that well either.
Yeah, it's all disconnected. But listen, we only have a couple more minutes.
Yes.
And I want you to tell us, a little bit more about you, how you can help these folks, and how they can get a hold of you so that they can hire you folks to be the greatest they can be.
Oh, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
So slicecommunications.com is our website. We're really easy to find. We're in Old City. We also host Social Media Day in Philadelphia every year, which gets between 500 and 600 people.
Wow.
It's in June. We bring in speakers from LinkedIn and Twitter, from Adobe, IBM, The Knot, Porsche, Reebok. Incredible speakers.
Yep.
And we encourage
Save the date.
Save the date. Save the date. It's June 27th this year. It's a
Awesome.
Thursday.
Awesome.
We encourage people just to come out and interact with us there. You'll get a sense of who we are and what we do. We're also releasing an ebook called A CEO's Guide to Confidence in Marketing.
Yes.
Yep, because we found that 3 in 10 CEOs have no confidence in their marketing strategy.
Wow.
And we think we know why.
Wow.
And we think we can help with that.
I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, so it should be really good. So that's another way to come and check us out and see how we think and how we work.
That's awesome. One last question.
Yes.
What inspires you?
Well, right now, my 6-month-old, my daughter, Kaya, she's incredible. She rocks my world and inspires me every day.
She's beautiful. She's beautiful. Well, everybody, that was a great segment. I want to thank you so much.
Thanks.
You're amazing.
Oh, you are
So to meet the amazing Cassandra Bailey, you can get in touch with her at Slice Communications in Old City. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next week.
A feeling, peace of mind that everything will be all right. These are the moments that inspire us to do more than you'd ever expect from a car insurance company at a price that's less than you'd expect. This is more than just insurance. This is Plymouth Rock Assurance. Visit us at plymouthrock.com.